Hi, welcome to today's dose of virtual vitamin Z. My name is Steven, and I'm the curator of Humane Education for the Detroit Zoological Society. Today, I'm going to be sharing one of our Humane Education programs, City Critters. And City Critters is a program that introduces people to the animals who share our local environment and then gives us ideas for actions we can take to help those animals. In this particular version of City Critters is going to focus on companion animals. Other versions have focused on wild animals like diurnal animals who are most active during the day or nocturnal animals who are most active at night. This version is going to focus on companion animals and what we can do to help them, and in particular, stray companion animals. So for this program, you're going to need a used clean t-shirt, scissors, and then your compassion and willingness to help companion animals. And some terms that we're going to be learning together include stray animal, animal homelessness, animal shelter, adoption, enrichment toy, and behavioral opportunities. So to get started, I'm going to introduce companion animals, and by participating in this lesson, you might increase your knowledge about companion animals and then also cultivate your empathy for companion animals. So the two species of companion animals that I'm going to focus on are dogs, like this guy here, and cats. And you might be wondering, well, why am I using plush animals, a plush dog and a plush cat? I do have a dog at home. His name is Hermes. You might hear him barking. But the reason that I'm using plush animals is that at the DZS, we know that it's important to give animals opportunities. And so today I gave my dog an opportunity to come and join in, but he didn't feel like it. He didn't feel like being on camera today, so I'm just going to use the plush animals. And we also, when we do programs about live animals, we use plush live animals like this plush rabbit. And the reason for that is that we also know that when it comes to wild animals, it's really important to observe them from a respectful distance. Companion animals we can interact with, but like I said, I gave Hermes a choice and he chose to stay off camera today. So, in particular, we're going to be talking about stray companion animals, and that's our first vocabulary term. A stray animal is a companion animal who can live with people, but who doesn't have a home. And that's connected to another vocabulary term, animal homelessness. And this is the issue that in the United States alone, every year, there are millions of dogs and cats who don't have homes. And that's that's a sad fact. But the good news is that there are actions that we can take and that we are already taking that can help address this issue. And one of those actions is supporting animal shelters. An animal shelter is our third term. And that is a place and a group of people that will take in dogs and cats and other companion animals and provide them with a temporary home and help them find a forever home with a family. And one way that we can support animal shelters is through adoption. And adoption means going to a shelter and finding a dog or a cat and adopting them, making them a part of our family. Now, this is a big responsibility. And it's not a decision that we should take lightly. But if we are in a position where we're ready to bring an animal into our homes, animal shelters are a great place to find them. And that leads me to a misconception I want to address. A misconception is a misunderstanding or a piece of incomplete or inaccurate information. And that misconception is that dogs and cats and other animals and animal shelters wouldn't make good family members because they must have some behavioral issue or something like that. And that's not true. There are many, many reasons why a dog or a cat may end up in an animal shelter that have nothing to do with their behavior. For example, maybe they were born to a stray dog, or maybe their human was no longer able to take care of them. But that doesn't mean that they have behavioral issues. And I can also speak from personal experience. My dog Hermes, I adopted him as a stray. And so, I know for a fact that stray animals can make great family members. And I have many friends who also have stray animals that they've adopted. So again, if you're thinking about, bringing an animal into your home, going to an animal shelter is a great action. Not only is that an opportunity to give a home to an animal in need, but it also frees up space and resources so that other animals can then, be helped to find homes as well. So this leads me to our next activity. And our next activity is that we're going to be reading a book about stray animals. And by reading this book with me, you're going to continue to increase your knowledge about and cultivate your empathy for companion animals. You're also going to be able to identify some actions that people can take to help companion animals. So as I'm reading this book, if you see an action that a character in the book is taking to help animals, feel free to call that out in the comments section, and that way we can all learn together. So the name of this book is Pablo Puppy's Search for the Perfect Person, and it's by Sheila Hamanaka, and it's published by the Animal Welfare Institute, which is an organization that helps animals like stray animals. So the book starts at an animal shelter. Pablo was lucky. He was a homeless puppy, but a kind person took him to an animal shelter. It was full of cats and dogs who had no home. Pablo was nervous. A man dressed in green put him in a kennel. There, Pablo met Natasha. She was big and old and very sad. "Why are you sad?" asked Pablo, who was happy to find a friend. Finding a friend is like finding a pot of gold. Natasha sighed. "Lots of people come here to find a dog friend," she said, "but many of them want a cute little puppy. Nobody wants an old dog like me. And if you make one mistake, some people will throw you away." "That's not very nice," said Pablo. "Well, I hope you find a perfect person," said Natasha. "I will," thought Pablo. "I know I will." What does a perfect person look like?" asked Pablo. "Perfect people come in all colors," said Natasha. "Some are young and some are old. Some walk fast and some walk slowly. Some carry canes and some roll around in chairs with big wheels. Perfect people make sure their dog friends get exercise." "What's exercise?" asked Pablo. "Is it something to eat?" "Oh no," said Natasha. "It's long walks and toys that are tossed. Perfect people love to play. That's why perfect people are often children." "And what does the perfect person sound like?" asked Pablo. "A perfect person knows a dog has excellent hearing, so perfect people never shout, and they will never, ever hit you," said Natasha. "Some speak to you in English. Some speak to you in Spanish, or Chinese, or Swahili, or hundreds of other languages." "Do people speak dog?" asked Pablo. "Perfect people know that dogs speak with their whole bodies," said Natasha. Pablo's stomach started to growl. "I think your tummy is talking to us," said Natasha. "I'm hungry," said Pablo. "Ah, food," said Natasha. "A perfect person will feed a puppy like you 4 times a day." "4 times?" asked Pablo. "That's perfect. And what about when I grow up?" "2 times a day," replied Natasha. "It's best to stay trim." "What about water?" Pablo asked. "A perfect person will give you a separate bowl of perfectly clean water, fresh every day," Natasha told him. "And puppies get lots of safe toys to chew on and lots of treats. Perfect people use treats to reward you for good manners." Pablo was getting sleepy, and he snuggled next to Natasha. "Tell me more," he said, yawning. "A perfect person gives you a bed. An old folded blanket will do, but sometimes beds are fancy." Something tiny jumped off of Pablo. "A flea." "That reminds me," said Natasha. "A perfect person will brush you every day, and sometimes they will give you a bath." Pablo was amazed. "A perfect person has a lot to do," he said. "Why would they do it?" "Because they are kind," said Natasha, "and full of love." "Love?" asked Pablo. He wasn't sure what it was, but he thought he loved Natasha. She was so kind to him. "Yes, love," said Natasha. "Love means taking a puppy out many times a day, even in the rain." "Or the snow?" he asked. "Yes," said Natasha. "A perfect person will take a puppy outside right after the puppy wakes up, or eats, or finishes playing. And every time a puppy goes potty outside, a perfect person gives the puppy a treat." What if I have an accident?" asked Pablo. "Don't worry," said Natasha. "A perfect person will never yell at you or hit you if you make a mistake." "That's good," said Pablo. "I get scared when people yell." "A perfect person knows that no one is really perfect," said Natasha. The dogs in the shelter began to bark. People were coming. Pablo hid between Natasha's legs and peeked out. Would he find the perfect person? "Look at that cute puppy," said a woman. "He's too small," replied the man in a loud voice. They kept walking. Next came a boy and his mother. "Look at that cute puppy," exclaimed the boy. "Oh no," said the mother. "If a puppy had an accident on my new rug, I would scream." Natasha was glad when they walked away. She liked Pablo and didn't want him to leave. Next came a little girl and her grandmother. "Look at that cute puppy," the little girl said. "Puppies are a lot of work," said the grandmother. "Will you feed him 4 times a day?" "Yes," said the girl. "And will you brush him every day?" "Yes," said the girl. "And will you take him outside to go potty many times a day, even in the rain?" asked the grandmother. "Yes," said the girl, "and in the snow too." The grandmother looked deep into the girl's eyes. "And most important of all," she said, "do you promise never to yell at the puppy or to hit him, even if he makes a mistake?" "Yes," said the girl, who was very wise. She knew that all puppies make mistakes, just like children do. "Of course, it will cost money to take the puppy to the veterinarian for checkups," said the grandmother. "I will make cookies and sell them at a bake sale to help out," said the girl. "Perfect," said the grandmother. Pablo was excited. He had found the perfect person. The man in green took Pablo out of the kennel so he could meet the girl. He wagged his tail and licked her hand. Pablo looked back at Natasha. She looked very, very sad. Suddenly, Pablo understood why. He was going to have to leave Natasha. Then the girl said, "The puppy's friend looks very sad." "Yes," said the grandmother. "Dogs have feelings too. She is going to miss her friend." "Grandma," said the little girl, "can we..." "Well," said the grandmother, thinking it over. She knew that adopting a dog was a big decision because a dog friend is a friend forever. "Yes, I need a friend who will take long, slow walks with me. I think I have found the perfect dog." So I hope you enjoyed that story. And again, feel free to share actions that you notice people taking to help companion animals in the comment section so we can all learn together. Speaking of actions we can take to help companion animals, that leads us to our final activity. And in this activity, we're going to be creating an upcycled enrichment toy. And by taking this action, we're going to continue to cultivate empathy for companion animals, develop fine motor skills, and help companion animals and the environment. So this brings us to two more vocabulary terms. One of them is enrichment toy, and then one of them is behavioral opportunities. Now, an enrichment toy is a toy that gives animals gives them behavioral opportunities to express their natural behaviors. Now, at the Detroit Zoo, we know that this is really important, not just for companion animals, but also for wild animals. And so we make sure to provide the animals under our care many opportunities to express their natural behavior. And you can see one example of this in this photograph of Casca, one of our wolves. Right now, he is playing with an enrichment toy made out of a paper bag and some straw. Now, in the wild, wolves will use their teeth to chew and tear at food, and they'll also play with each other. So this enrichment toy gives Casca a chance to express those behaviors. Now, dogs are very closely related to wolves, and so it's important that we provide similar opportunities for our dogs, like my dog Hermes, and he is holding the toy that we're going to be making together. So to make this toy, there are 4 steps to follow, and this is when you're going to need that clean, used t-shirt. So first of all, you're going to cut a used, clean t-shirt into 3 5-inch wide strips. Then you're going to tie those strips together on one end, braid the strips together, and then tie them together on the other end. So I'm going to demonstrate how this works. To start, get a t-shirt. This is an old, torn t-shirt that was also stained, but I held on to it because I didn't want to just throw it away. I wanted to find some use for it. So I'm going to take this and cut it into strips. Now, I actually used a few different shirts because it's a little bit easier to show the next steps with different colors, but you can use the same shirt. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take these strips and put them all together, and then at one end, we are going to tie a knot. So to tie the knot, you bend it, and then you loop around and pull up through. If you're a young person and need help, you can ask a parent to help you with the knot, and also be sure to ask them to help you with the scissors. So now we have these 3 strips together. What we're going to do next is we're going to braid them. And to braid them, it's actually really simple. I'm going to hold the end under my chin like this, and then we're going to take one of the outside pieces, bring it in between the other 2, and hold it there. And then take the outside piece on the opposite side and bring it into the middle. And we're going to keep doing this, outside to middle, outside to middle, outside to middle, all the way down to just about the bottom. And once we get to the bottom, we're going to tie another knot to make sure that the toy doesn't fall apart. Now, I'm not going to make you watch me do all of that, but I did make a finished product. And as you can see, we've connected these different pieces of cloth with the braid, and that makes it a little bit more, a little bit tougher, gives dogs, a little bit more to chew on. And the last thing is that when we are playing this isn't just a toy that we would give to a dog and leave him alone with. This is a chance for us to bond with a dog by playing a game like tug of war. Another thing that is really important for dogs is to have opportunities to connect with people. And so this is a great way to make something that we can then choose, we can use to play with them. Now you might be saying, okay, this is great, but I don't have a companion animal at home, or my dog or cat already has a lot of toys. And that's fine, you can still make these, and one thing you can do with them is you can then offer them to a local animal shelter like the Michigan Humane Society, and they might be able to use them with the dogs under their care. Or you can give them to a friend who has a dog or a cat. You can teach them how important it is to give dogs and cats opportunities to express their behaviors, and you can show them how to play. And just make sure that you're keeping an eye on your dogs with these. We don't want a dog to accidentally eat one. That wouldn't be good for them. So make sure that you're using these to play with your dogs. And that's an opportunity to not just help animals, but also be a humane educator, by teaching other people how they can help animals. And that leads me to the final part of this program, where I want to connect it to some of the other work that we do at the Detroit Zoological Society. The DZS is home to the Berman Academy for Humane Education, which is a one-of-a-kind education initiative that has allowed us to incorporate the principles and goals of humane education into all of our programming. And one principle that this program really focuses on is the principle that all animals matter, including companion animals as well as exotic wildlife and local wildlife. So you might be surprised that, we're the Detroit Zoological Society, but we're talking about helping companion animals. And that's because when we say that we help people help animals, we really do mean all animals. And one other way that we help companion animals is through an event we put on every year along with the Michigan Humane Society called Meet Your Best Friend at the Zoo. And during this event, the Michigan Humane Society and other animal shelters are able to bring their dogs and cats to the parking lot outside the zoo and give people a chance to come and see a lot of different dogs and cats that they might be able to adopt and bring into their families. So be sure to keep your eyes out for the next Meet Your Best Friend at the Zoo. Also, be sure to tune in tomorrow. My colleague Claire is going to be leading a lesson on some of the animals who live at the zoo, the work that we're doing to help them, and some activities that you can do at home. And then also be sure to tune in next week because our colleague David is going to be back to telling wildlife adventure stories in the afternoons at 4. So thanks so much for your time. Have a great day and stay safe. Bye.